All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having yourselves a fantastic start to the AM here. Happy Thursday, right? Hope everyone's doing well, feeling sharp, refreshed, and ready to go. So far, pretty good trading week here so far, right? Found a little bit of momentum, found a little bit of some nice price action, and honestly just kind of waiting, right, for markets to cooperate a little bit for us and to give us that kind of like pseudo trend day, or at least that period, right, of a little bit more interesting price action than what we saw there yesterday. If I'm looking at things from like a daily time frame, it's starting to look a little bit, right, like that bullish momentum is starting to really disappear. It's 3 consecutive days of decreasing volume, 3 consecutive days of smaller and smaller ranges, and eventually, right, we need some sort of consolidation breakout, right, or an indecision reversion, right, to kind of show up and to give us some sort of conviction here of trending price action. Now, the thing that I always like to remind myself, right, when markets slow down, especially as we start to kind of creep up towards the summer period, is that just because markets are slow and things maybe aren't moving as quickly as you would like, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a blind reason to want to be bearish. So I know that from my own like kind of personal experience and kind of just time trading. I know that when markets are grinding higher and you have that trending price action to the upside, sometimes going for that bearish reversal is like the more fun trade because it will move faster. It'll give you a more violent move, and it'll potentially, right, be like a little bit more unpredictable. So the dopamine rush, right, of catching that short play in those grinding conditions there to the upside can be a tremendous drain on both mental capital, and it could also just be a very low probability event. So the reason I'm reminding myself this, right, is because of its entertainment factor. So because it is more fun, right, to trade short in that slow market and look for that kind of like more aggressive type trade, you need to remind yourself, right, of what would define bearish price action. How can I focus on those variables and basically fight back against that entertainment based impulse? As fun as trading is, and it is a tremendous amount of fun, it is still a game where the trader who remains in control most wins the most, right? So if we focus on never really allowing the market to trick us into making decisions that we don't want to make, or we're focusing on, how can I learn from what I did the previous day, or we're focusing on, what are the things that I can control to get better at, then ultimately, right, we're choosing to gamify the right elements of our trading instead of needing to get validation from our P&L or from things that are simply too noisy on a short-term basis. So I know it's kind of a lot of different themes there. But one, I guess, key theme here, right? Don't trade or don't build the directional buys just because you're bored. Trace the price action or trade the price action that's in front of you. Don't chase price action just for entertainment, right? Two, focus on trading, right, with control. So be aware and deliberate, right, with all of your trading decisions. Focus on the variables you can control and ensure that you're paying tuition to the market, right, by studying and learning from your trading decisions. And then hopefully, right, making improvements to those trades and then growing. I was saying this to honestly a friend of mine yesterday. He's asking me like why I like trading and generally, right? And it was basically just that each day the market will remind me one thing that I am bad at, right? It'll remind me that I'm greedy. It'll remind me that I'm impulsive. It'll remind me that I don't have a strategy, or that my risk management sucks, or that my psychology isn't where it needs to be. And it's my job to listen to those hints, right? And then to decide if I want to change that or not, right? Indecision is a choice as well. And not forcing yourself to improve is a surefire way to basically consistently lose money, right? So just understanding that profitable trading is not like a fix one thing issue and then all of a sudden, right, you're going to be green and it's like the light switched on. It's fixing hundreds of little micro problems, right? Fixing hundreds of little micro issues. And eventually, once you fix enough of them, you kind of like summit that mountain, right? Or you go over that hill for the first time, and then you become profitable, right? So the sooner that you can embrace that. Excuse me. I tried to say excuse me just as I was firing through a sneeze. It's just realizing that, yeah, profitable trading, right, is just fixing enough of your micro problems at a time. And I almost popped my shoulder out there. But it's about fixing enough of your own little micro problem at a time. And once you fix enough of those things, I can't take myself seriously now. But yeah, just fix enough of your problems, and things will come together for you. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know that one sent me over the top here this morning. But yeah, good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. That rant didn't finish off the way that I wanted. But yeah, let's have ourselves a heck of a trading day, and let's start mapping things out and kind of go from there. Yesterday I put together a couple of videos, right, of like I'm going to be calling them like the DTR standard, right? So how to trade like a DTR member type thing. If there are videos, right, that you want specifically in that series, please let me know. And I'll do my best to kind of film those up. Kind of goal here is to make a couple a day over the next week or so. So if you have any suggestions, any topic, right, please let me know, and we'll be happy to put together something. There are some more stuff coming, obviously today, and we'll keep it up. But yeah, good morning. Let's have ourselves a heck of a day. And yeah, let's start mapping things out and figure out what we want to do. So a little bit of an easier trading day here, right? From an economic news perspective, we had basically just data, right, this morning, 8:30. And then we've got some Fed speak there later in the afternoon. So not going to be super worried about that. We should have natural gas here today, but no crude oil. So should be a little bit of a smoother session. And yeah, I mean, I don't think things will be much more embarrassing than how I started off the day. So only up from here, and excited to be trading with you all here this morning. So first things first, what's the count here on ES? Let's start there. Oh man, just reminds me. So when I was younger, and out west, I used to bike a lot, and there was one summer where I think I separated my shoulder like 13 or 14 times. It would just like pop out with absolutely no resistance. So as I was like trying to talk and sneeze at the same time, it just started to make me think about how I was about to pop out my shoulder. And so I don't know why that made me laugh and feel like a freak, but yeah, I'm not going to live that one down for a while. So yeah, spot on. It's a 2 out of 3 here. Without volume, it's pretty weak, right? And it's starting to look like maybe like a bit of a volume divergence reversal type scenario. Now, if we are going to play that reversal, right, especially to the downside, we should see bigger volume than what we saw there yesterday. You know, yesterday's volume, pretty much the lowest we've seen in a month, right? Give or take, the lowest since the 9th of May. So not exactly any like level of enthusiasm for us to kind of really be aware of. There's also a little part of me that's kind of thinking that we should just be waiting for increasing volume, right, in both directions, because there's such a lack of momentum, right, from the indexes. It would be better to see those stories become consistent, wait it out if I have to on a short-term basis, and then wait for that sort of trending price action to return. So levels wise, right, we're at 59.95. I'm gonna go like 60-20, but wanting to see volume return, right? Now, there's a couple ways that we can look at this to get that volume return sensation, right? Historically, the way that I've done it is is the first candle of the time frame, right, larger volume than the previous day's open, i.e., could I make the argument that I have a larger volume pace, right, than I had the day before? I think that might work to a certain extent, but with the profiles yesterday being kind of so thin, I think that makes it really easy for that opening candle to be like a capitulation type bar without necessarily giving us a story of continuation. So the way that we can evaluate volume here this morning can be kind of twofold. We can look at that opening candle, right? Okay, is it telling me that same story? But then we can kind of look at the sum of, you know, the first couple candles, right? Okay, is this larger than the kind of collection, right, of the first 5, right? 3, 5, 10 candles, right? Yesterday, maybe is the 30-minute candle more volume, right? So do we get more volume in the first 30 minutes versus yesterday's first 30 minutes? And then using that as our judge. But really what we're trying to see here is just a slight change in the personality, because the personality that we see at the moment is one where the range is getting smaller, right? And the volume is getting looser. So when we combine both of those things together, we're being told, right, that we're returning back to choppier markets and to choppier outcomes. And with a low liquidity environment, right, that then also exaggerates the opportunities to get really aggressive fake outs. And I mean, that's no fun, right, for anyone. So yeah, let's see if we can basically see some momentum return. Basically I almost want like a price action we haven't seen so far this week, if that makes sense. Or at least a standard, right, that we haven't seen really this week. And if it happens, I think that'll make it a much easier trading day for us. All right. NQ, how do we feel? Similar, not so similar? Is it stronger or weaker than what we're seeing from ES? Yeah, Ajay, it is stronger. And what makes you say that it's stronger? Yeah, candle shape looks normal. And yesterday's candle, right, held higher highs. So ES, right, closed under Tuesday's high of day. NQ closed above, right, previous high of day. So that's kind of like a good sign of potential support. But still, right, not a huge narrative here. And so we're still going to treat this the same way. And then we're going to be looking 21.9 as our starting point here. And then we've got it mapped out, right, to all-time highs. So with the correlation with ES and NQ, is that a concern for trading NQ? Not really, because all things considered, right, we're what's the nice way of saying this? So it's like ES is it's balding, it's missing its teeth, and it's got like a horrific size nose, right? So it's like it's a really ugly looking chart. NQ is like balding, it's missing some teeth, but it's got a nice nose. So like it's still an ugly looking setup, and it's still not necessarily telling us any tremendous amount of like strength or beauty. But it's a little bit prettier, right? So it's a little bit stronger, but we're not going to be changing our focus here so dramatically to make sure that we're identifying conditions. We're going to be still waiting for that volume to return and indicate a change in personality. So basically, we want to go shallow Hal on the price action here today and be really judging what the volume looks like, what the momentum looks like. And then once we do, right, see that, then we can say, okay, this is the prettier girl to dance with once we have that sort of enthusiasm across the board. Until we see that, we're just trying to pick out micro differences, and this isn't going to necessarily dictate how much more aggressive I'm going to be until I see that personality change. Does that make sense? And then to the downside, right, pre-market low 21.7. So we're just going to fill in those extra gaps. Then we've got 1,000 points mapped out. Way too many, probably to the downside. All right, CL. What's the count? How did we feel about yesterday? I do have to say, John, I think when I'm at my best, I'm my most aggressive with my analogies. Yeah, and it's kind of like it's kind of a bullshit candle, for lack of a better term, right? It's just high volume indecision. It's a fake out higher, it's a fake out lower, it's a close back inside the middle of that range. And then we know that a lot of that volume, right, is going to have been associated with the or not the futures roll, sorry, the inventories data, right, that we had there yesterday. I didn't spell inside bar correctly yesterday. Whoops. So 2 out of 3, we'll call it a week. 2 out of 3 to the downside with volume. If we're zooming out, what did yesterday's price action find support off of? Yeah, basically that wedge pattern, right? And then it's basically consolidating in between that trend line, right? And in between 64. So ideally here, right, if we're going to say that we have a personality change on CL, it's on a breakout above 64. I think that's going to have to be our starting point, right? So we're going to go ORB fake out, then breakout above, right? Not towards. So we're going to want to see that move happen first, and then we can target those secondary levels. This gives us probably the easiest chance, right, for that personality change because it's the closest towards that breakout target being 23 cents away. So maybe today ends up being a day where we focus a little bit on crude. And then if I am going to get a breakout, right, I should see a really impressive volume standard kind of support that narrative. To the downside, it would be a fake out, right, at 64 and then back down towards the trend line. And that's 62.50. Cool. Makes sense? Okay. Apple, red candle, decreasing volume gap up, 1 for 3. Tesla, increasing, 98.91. Nope. Two out of 3 to the downside without volume. Microsoft, 1 for 3. Amazon, big gap up here, inside bar. yesterday, right, kind of looks so far from our most of our leading names, right, looks like a either weak sellers day or like a day of consolidation, right? China generally across the board. NVIDIA, again, a little baby gap up. Meta. I remember, I mean, probably some DTR members were here at the time. I remember buying this thing like in the 100 handle and selling it at like $200 a few months later. I regret not holding it and just like making it a lifetime purchase. Meta's a freak. That was a generational buying opportunity. 3 for 3 here to the upside on Netflix. And it's not weak. It's fine. The volume maybe could be a little bit stronger, but we're okay. Oh, that'd be very interesting. Makes his bag and runs. Sorry, whoops, inside bar here. Truth be told, though, Ajay, we also had rumors this week of Powell resigning, and they kind of came to naught. So who knows? And then VIX 17 spot 59 levels we have not seen. I mean, for a very long time, March, right? So if we're back to that, just like low vol grind type price action, maybe we're back into that sort of type of personality. Any questions here, team? All right, fantastic. So I'm just gonna go make myself a quick cup of coffee, spend a few minutes here, kind of visualizing a successful trading day, getting my mind right to where it needs to be, mentally recovering after my snafu here this morning. But I'll be back in a couple minutes, and then we'll do a quick little rundown here before this session starts. All right, team. So let's get after it here. Market opens in 3 minutes. 3 seconds. Let's see how the day shapes up, right? If price action is aggressive or not here this morning. And yeah, where we see the momentum, right, basically show up. Hopefully, right, we can get ourselves some nice clean price action. And then from there, right, we can really take advantage of whatever momentum is available to us. We're judging, right, this opening volume. So is it impressive? How are the ranges behaving, right, from a size perspective? And then, yeah, from there, can we find ourselves like a nice trade, go one and done here on the day, and just put ourselves into a great situation. So excited, happy to be here, obviously, and yeah, looking forward to seeing what the day has in store for us. Any questions about the price action or any of our narratives? How's everyone feeling? Beautiful. So big selling pressure here to start the day off, kind of filling that gap. Volume wise, we probably should get bigger than what we saw there yesterday, which would be a positive sign. Big selling now. How do you feel about the size of this opening range? And is this volume that we would say is stronger or weaker than yesterday? Like, is this that standard we said we wanted to see? Or are we less than that? Well, I'd say it's quite a bit more, right, than what we saw there yesterday. What it's telling us, right, is that we have maybe a different or like a unique level of market participants. And we're getting a lot of mean reversion setups here. So I got an ES1 and Q as well. So we could possibly map this out, be 140-ish. So 21,656.50 would be the number. 21,656. And then stop loss here would be high of day. Should be 841.75. So pretty much immediately watching here. Now with this, right, I want to be typing in my stop loss, making sure my position sizing makes sense. No worries. So our entry, right, needs to be at minimum 25 points away from our high, which we have not gone. We've gone close, but not quite touched it. I've got everything set up here still. It looks like a good mean reversion type setup. There was a 5-min NQ ding as well. A little inside bar, fine. You still got like 20 odd points to go. Trying to think if I can find a different stop loss location. Maybe I could argue this. I don't think I'm going to be able to talk myself into that. And no 10 a.m. data here this morning, right? So we have a relatively calm start to the day. And that's always a relative term around here, but let's see. Again, I have everything set up here for a short, but still got to pull back a decent amount. So kind of so far, right? Aggressive first candle, kind of nothing since then. CL still stuck under 94. But double inside bars by the look of it. Yes, maybe getting a little bit closer to a breakout. Okay, now we can maybe start thinking about the aggressive entry on the next candle. Okay, reasonable close. And so these would be our references, right? Stop loss 775 for now. So what I'm doing, right, is I'm inside my order window and right away filling in those details, right? So 21,775 stop loss, entry price, right, of 761. And I'm then making sure, right, that my position sizing is appropriate for those risks. So now, right, going to be looking for a gentle pullback here. And watching carefully. Tried to get an execution, did not fill. I'm going to cancel that order. And I was trying to get an execution there at 56. Just missed it by the looks of it. Okay, set back up here. Okay, so I'm in 755, or sorry, 756 on the dot. 756 on the dot. One contract, stop loss at 775. Oh, I got stopped out as I was typing that. Minus 390.02. 390.02. And now we're possibly getting that high volume reversal type opportunity. Let's see. Okay, now we're looking at reversals. Starting to look a little bit maybe like that Monday price action or this Tuesday the 27th. Okay, so we're back at looking at this here to the upside. Again, it'd be the aggressive entry technique targeting our 2R range. So box in the trade. Now zoom in. And we're looking 782 stop loss for now. Oh, actually, lower. Now you're looking at 776. Nope. Can't pull back too much more here. Maybe we could do this. Stop loss, low of day. I just don't think I'll be able to get the aggressive entry with how much it's pulled back here on this. So we need to get a little bit tighter. Okay, 390 bucks down. We can fix this. Lowest volume of the day. Okay, so still watching here. We need to pull down under 60. Hey guys, so I'm in 749.75. 749.75. Long, stop loss low of day, one contract. Okay, and again, got stopped out on that position. Man, how did I get shaken out of that long or that short? So minus 705.04. Oh, I'm back to my old tricks. I'd say every talk about my trading, but I've now had 2 stop losses that have been like a bit late or triggered late or got the ding late. Yesterday I had a couple that were like triggering early. I had one that triggered early. I'm kind of a little bit annoyed with the recent executions I'm getting. Not super precise. No. No, internet should be fine. I'm getting like 3 gigs here. But it's not that. I'm only noticing it with my Tradeify account. I'm not seeing it anywhere else. All right. Meantime, let's focus here still. Okay, so 706 would be the stop here. For now, it's got to break down still. Reference price would be 695, so about 10 points of risk, be 2 contract play. I'm just going to go 707. Never mind. Try this again. Okay, now we'd be forced to 1 contract with a stop then 723. Nope. Bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. Bit punchy of a stop loss here still on ES. It's 8 points. It'd be one contract on ES. That's probably a little bit too tight. There's maybe a little bit better. $82. Trying to maybe think about this a little bit. $952. Weird start. Getting down 705.04 here. I'm thinking about this a little bit. Yeah, that's a good rejection. A little inside bar, though, maybe feels like it might be a bit of a fake out opportunity. So it'll be one contract play. Maybe now I could push it to 2. Too fast. Gonna wait. Maybe then the alternative stop loss is something like that. Or you play the fake out high of 760. I think I missed my fill. I get 46. Okay, so we're back to looking at just one contract here. 46 is going to miss. And we're back in striking distance here. Okay, so back to watching here. $6.57, no 10 a.m. data today. 13, too much. Okay. 765 on ES is a stop loss. Too late. Missing that 46 is going to sting for a few seconds here. All right, let's wait it out. VIX has gone up. Nice, Vinny. Congratulations. A great little win. I was kind of thinking about that. Kind of thinking about that. Kind of thinking about that. Hey guys, so I am in long, average price 739.75. Stop loss at 719. Get that brief little flirtation. Let's see. Man, sometimes this thing is freaking impossible to copy paste. Come on. Guys, got to be its moment here. It's kind of too bouncy, it feels like, right? Hmm. It's a little bit stuck. Come on. All right, that's better. Not a perfect entry, but better. There it goes. All right. All right. Pretty good. Hey guys, so I've pyramided in. Average price now is 748. Average price now is 748. And I want to see this thing start to move pretty aggressively quickly. It's got to pop here. Come on. All right, bounce, bounce, bounce. Nope. Just a little bit too aggressive with my pyramid price. A little retest of entry price, original entry price. Not a great feeling. If this doesn't bounce from here, this will be my exit trigger. Okay, I took the stop loss. Fuck me. And now we're back to looking for a short. Cycle never ends. Hey guys, I'm in short 720.50. 720.50. Stop loss 731. Stop loss actually 732. I have 2 contracts. Fuck me. I'm getting shaken out of everything. To try this again. No, I don't. Okay. It should be a 724. One more try here. All right. So I'm in 729.50, 729.50. Stop loss 722. Let's see if this thing can actually go. No, doesn't feel like it anymore. Go. Come on. And that might have been surviving a worst case Ontario there. I don't trust it. Come on. I took the stop again. This would be a bloodbath. Just get shaken out of every freaking move so far today. Just everything's faking me out, driving me a little bit nuts. It's a low volume where I still think that this is dip buyer city. Fuck. All right, so I'm trying this 720 entry stop loss here, 712. Okay, so far so good. So far so good on this. I just jinxed it. There we go. All right. Oh, I definitely jinxed it. Okay. Okay. Average price, guys, now is 723. 723. And we're going to look to close this thing as P&L is increasing. All right, let me deal with this trade first. I'll answer your question in a moment. So much, much better. This thing is starting to move. And I have 6 total contracts now. Not probably enough volume on that previous candle. So I'm going to look to get out here as my P&L is increasing. One more pop here, please. Okay, a little bit more. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh my gosh. Okay, I have closed that trade, guys. I've closed it at 748. This 1009 candle was our confirmation. So this reversal candle here was our confirmation at 1009. Okay. Back to within striking distance. Minus 625.41 on the session. Does that make sense? Yeah, makes sense. No, just the once, Kiki. Just pyramided the once. I went 2, then 4. So 2 to start, 4 to iron. Yeah, so 6 total. It was 2 contracts to start with, and then my pyramid was 4. So I'm now paying the price for not holding. So I'll definitely close that a little bit too early. Maybe traded my P&L there just a little bit too much. Okay. And now, right, we're going to be looking at something like this for a continuation here to the upside. Let's see how this thing closes. Okay, so we're looking at a 765 here with a reference price, right, of 776. So 11 points of risk would be 2 contracts if risk stays as is. What I'll try to do here, team, is I'll try to be a little bit more vocal over my sizing around those pyramids. Don't think I did a very good job of that on that previous trade. Okay, so again, we're looking at a 776 here. 2 contracts. Okay, and then we want just a little pullback. Ah, you're kidding. That was ruthless. Hopefully, a few of you guys jumped in there. Just couldn't quite get the execution I wanted. It's annoying when that happens, right? It's annoying. All right, what's the time here? 26. We're going to have a little bit of an opportunity maybe for this 10 min to go increasing. This 3-min, I mean, this is still our confirmation candle, so we could get a good entry, right, for that green to red reversal. That would be fantastic. But now I'm pinching myself here a little bit for closing that previous trade early. Now, it was a good trade close based on my rules, right? Once I get that weak candle close post entry, I shouldn't look to be holding it on. So I'm just saying that out loud to myself, basically to not punish myself for following my process. Once I had that weakness, I looked to close as my P&L was increasing, still closed it for a good sized win. Right, it was almost 3K. So yeah, I'm okay with that. All right, we're still looking here for the aggressive. But yeah, it would have been a lot more money had I held on. So stop loss would be 795. Let's watch this reaction around 800 here first. So now it would be 793. Now even lower. Let it shake out weak hands here. And either we're going to get a high volume rejection right off of this midpoint, or we're going to find support off of that 800. And as long as it doesn't pull back like under 75, we can still play the aggressive. So now we're looking at an 86 stop loss. Okay. I'm watching here closely. I think this is pretty close to entry time. Okay, guys, so I'm in 93.75, 93.75. 2 contracts, stop loss at 86. Got to pop here, got to pop. Okay, here it goes. Watch, watch, watch. That's 380, 390. 230. Come on. How long we got? 5 seconds on this candle. It's got to close above 800. Okay, it did. Now we want to see a quick pop, though. I've got trust issues here, guys. I've got trust issues. Okay, I've closed, guys. I've closed 95.75. I've closed 95.75. I'm going to try this again, potentially try to get a better stop loss here and tighten it up. Again, stop would be 792 here now. But if I have to take this like the stairs, I'm okay with that. Maybe should have had a bit more courage to close it around that 802. Couldn't quite find the close at that moment. but wasn't super enthusiastic about that reaction around 8. So, okay, good decision. And clawing things back here slowly but surely. Sitting now 545, 45. Bloody start. Okay, I mean, 10 min would be 75 to 80. 980 versus 675. Oh, I'm on ES. Whoops. And NQ could still be the pullback technique, although that would be scary. And really good decision to have closed where we did. Really, really good decision. Now, right, we're kind of getting that rejection thesis back down towards low of day, and that's going to be our next active setup here. Now, the challenging thing about this, right, is going to be our risk-reward ratio. It's not a super far out target. Fine close. Good rejection candle off of that 800. So you know what, team? I'm actually very, very happy with that exit. That 95.75. I think we did a really good job there. All right, this could still be the pullback, although I wouldn't want it to be the pullback. So 750 would be your stop loss here now on the short. Like that nice round number. Okay, it would have to be higher now. Can't go too much. Would not have to be 753. Not sure if I'm feeling that bears are really in control here yet. That's better. All right, so I'm for sure looking. All right, guys, so I'm in short 745.25. 745.25. 3 contracts, stop loss right at 53. All right, I got stopped out. Dumb. Oh, that's so mean. That is so mean. Oh. That was the most ruthless shake and fake I've seen in a long time. That was a fuck you. Wow. What a dick. All right. Well, still in play here. Gosh, that felt like they definitely hunted stop losses there. Oh man, I was reading about an old onion trade back in the day. I mean, back in the, it was like in the early 50s, about how onions became the only thing that's banned from trading on the CME. And they were talking about cornering the market, and it very much felt like I just got cornered. Wow, that was ruthless. If we're now looking at that candle, though, right? That's behaving like a capitulation type candle. Well, back to minus 1,010.52. Ruthless. Let's go, PD. Let's go. I don't know. That went being from down 400 to what would have been up like 3 grand in 15 seconds. That was a wild trade. What a move. Oh my God. Just when a move happens like really aggressively, really quickly, and then it doesn't like hold that, right? So this candle, right, sold off on huge volume, all things considered, right? Made a really aggressive move. And then immediately, right, look at the move we've made in response. It's telling us that, you know, bears are out of gas, right? That was like their last hurrah. Wow. This is some fuck you price action. All right, well, we're looking for the long here. Okay, so for now, stop loss 785. Cool. Okay, now it'd be 780. So again, watching here for a long carefully. Hey guys, I'm in 87.75. Stopped out. I'm trying to get these tight entries with one contract and then be able to build up my sizing. Didn't get it on that attempt. I will potentially try again. Although this is now starting to look like it'd be better as a pullback technique. All right, let's try this one more time here. All right, so I'm back in 768, 768. Stop loss 755. 768 to 755. Almost up 500 bucks here immediately. Kind of debating just taking it. Okay, there's 7. All right, well, this is working out well, guys. I am going to be closing this. Come on, get out. All right, guys, I am out of this trade. I am out of this trade. Exit price was 861. 861 exit price. All out 861. And that was a quick 5,500 bucks. Holy shit. Well, that puts me on a nice balance here for the day. Jesus. Let's go, Mark. Congratulations. Epic day. I'm up just a little bit over 4K now. So 4104.29 on the day after that. Boy, did we get rewarded there. Woo. How you guys feeling? Ooh. Crazy, crazy move. I mean, now we're setting up for rejection here to the downside. What an absolute frickin' rip. Let's go. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to like catch my breath here a little bit. I feel like I need a cigarette. Hey, nice work, John. Send me oh no, you're good. You're good. Never mind. Nice work, John. Hey, at least you kept your wrist tight. That's fantastic. That was a fucking wild day. Sorry to curse. We like missed 2 of those big squeezes and then finally caught one. Ooh, all that torture of getting faked out certainly feels better now. Wow. Crazy price action. I mean, this is in frickin' squeeze mode. That was nuts. For this, like the P&L of that trade, that might have been the fastest move I have traded in a very long time. That was crazy. 100 points in 15 seconds. Man, if that isn't a reminder, right, that trading is a game of surviving until you can thrive. I don't know what is. Holy shit, what a day. Again, best trades happen after 10 a.m. Everything before that was just like slippage. Sorry guys, I'm trying to catch my or like rein in my enthusiasm a little bit. Feeling pretty euphoric after that last trade. It's like trying to slow down the heart rate a little bit. Oh, how's everyone feeling? Let's go. Hey, nice work, Nick. Nick, send me those trades. Send me screenshots of them. Let's go over the ones you took earlier. Such a weird game because man, like each loss just makes your self-talk so much worse and worse and worse. Fuck, man, the system works. System works basically if I just don't sabotage myself. Hey, nice work, Mike. You're on fire, dude. When's payout number 13 happening? Crazy price action today. Crazy. I love it, Mike. Your consistency is very admirable, man. I love to see it. been what, averaging about a payout a month, right? Since April, give or take. Pretty awesome. What a life. Guys, I'm not going to place any further trades here today. But yeah, pull back into 800 would make sense for sure. But the risk reward, right, of now turning this into a 5K day or a 6K day, it's not going to feel as good as turning this into a 2K day, right, or a 1500 day or a break even day is going to feel. Right? So the mental capital drain of giving back these gains is much higher than the reward of making back an extra 15-20%. What a day of variance. Pretty much saw it perfectly here today. Oh man. Such a chaotic start. Yeah, 100 points in 15-30 seconds. It's got to be my fastest ever win of that size. That was crazy. Definitely makes you feel as if you're at the track, right? Oh. Send me those trades, John. Let's look at your position sizing. It's like it's kind of a weird sensation here this morning. Obviously, it was pretty stressed to start the day, clearly. I was frustrated with the shakeouts, and then yeah, now it just feels like that adrenaline is like kind of worn off, and I'm like almost like sleepy now. Three contracts. It was three contracts. I had like 7 points of risk, something like that. Yeah, and personal. Yeah. Any other questions here, team? Anything you guys want to go over? Which Top Step account do you have, John? And so what do you think is not set up correctly? Like your charts don't look the same? On what? ES or NQ, Dan? Okay, well, you just hit your sell target, fine. I think high a day probably would have been a more like reasonable one, but yeah, no complaints. So yeah, John, I'm not quite sure if maybe your settings changed or anything along those lines. Inside Top Step X, there should be in the bottom right hand here, like a more settings button, and you can see what your basically, I don't know why it's not popping up, why your executions, right, or what is ticked or not ticked. I don't have any specific guides for Top Step X. It's not a platform that I have any like control over, right? I've got stuff on using TradingView and entering and exiting your trades there because I've got custom stuff here set up. But if you have any issues with that platform specifically, I'm not really in a position where I can give you any like technical support, just because I can't go in and look at anything, or there's no customizations that I do specifically. So if you're having any issues about that platform, I would recommend contacting their customer support, or alternatively, right, just take a look inside your settings tab. There should be a way for you to see which ones are active or not. And sometimes it might just be as simple as quick logout, reset, maybe trying a different browser for it to kind of show back up. Crazy day. All right, team. Any other questions? Crazy day. P&L has been like a straight line higher, and the variance in between the highs and lows of each day are pretty much just as steep. This has been a tumultuous trading month. Yeah. So I had much less risk than that. It wasn't 33 points. I had my stop loss at the low of my entry candle. So effectively, what I did, right, was wait for us to find support inside this 1036. Approximately the time, right? Yeah, got in at 7. Holy shit. Yeah, 741 was my entry. So 741 or 1041 was my entry. So on this candle, basically just waited for it to find support there inside that range. Once it did, I used the aggressive technique there inside that area. Basically, the reference that I had here was basically how we had kind of bounced off of the opening range high and turned that right into resistance for the downside. Once we broke out there back up and over, once I saw that now go from acting like resistance, right, to acting as support, I was confident that I didn't need a pullback down towards that 716 area. So was able to get a much tighter risk. Like all in all here, I was risking 8 points a contract, something like that, 9 points a contract. So I effectively used the aggressive entry technique on a pullback into my confirmation candle and was willing to do that because I had seen that 762 area approximately act or flip from being resistance into being support. So once we made that little move lower, pulled back up above, that became my entry trigger, effectively like a fake out entry. That makes sense? Ooh. So final call for questions here, team. Final call for questions. That was a crazy trading day. So final call for questions here, team. Final call for questions. So I think Antonin, sorry, I think you had a question there you're asking. Yeah, so it was this reversal here at 939. Right, so failed breakdown, reversal on big volume. Once it gave me that failed rejection there at 800, got out of that trade. So it was this reversal thesis. Yeah. All right. Yeah, one sec here. So it was basically just looking for the pullback here, right? So invalidated the breakdown, high vol breakout here. Oh, sorry. I'm looking at the wrong one. Why is this so confusing to find? So then became, I think this was a 5-min. I think effectively was just trying to play like this as our support zone, right? So once you see that fake out there to the downside, basically pretty much under, we'll say 40, right, towards low of day, it's all basically just wick or defense, right, inside that zone. So it was effectively, okay, get a failed breakout there, right? Bears aren't able to reclaim control, kind of a low volume consolidation inside that area. And then look to jump in, which would have been on this candle, right? Inside this candle's range. I'm trying to I think it's probably a good question. Like, I think I'm probably front running confirmation here a little bit on that position. A little bit. I mean, looking back at it now, I almost like can't believe I lost money on this. Like the long was closed at 719, which is like literally the low of that tick. So it's more that just you have the failed breakdown, right? That failed move. This is your setup. Your confirmation is the low vol pullback back into that zone. I think probably objectively here, right? I'm missing then that candlestick confirmation to say that bulls are in control. Probably why my timing was shit on this. Like, had I even just waited for that 1009, right? Originally from that signal, that probably would have been a little bit of a smoother process. But yeah, it's definitely a fair trade to highlight. Anything else here, team? All right, final call here. Final call. And man, we might have even closed that trade early. Nuts. This is like a market that's on ketamine. With the way that it's moving, bouncing from wall to wall. Yeah, it's in the daily debrief channel. In the daily debrief channel, pinned message. No worries, man. Okay, maybe for a little bit, right? You play around with micros and you build up a little bit of confidence there in your execution, right? Prove your kind of proof of concept there a little bit, and then as you build up a bit more of a buffer and that like momentum, you then go back to trading minis. As painful as today's session was, like my worst drawdown was about 2K, a little bit over 2K, and then got down to about 600, then back to about 1,000, and then up to this 4K. So there's something there in either your position sizing, your entries, or your stop losses that are exaggerating your basically drawdown. And 10 points here, 10 points there, not a big deal. But that's an extra, $1,000, right, after the start of today's session, which then puts you at that threshold number. So send me your executions here today. I want to compare them, and send me your position sizing because I want to compare that as well. Yeah, is that fair? All right, sounds good. Anything else here, team? Anything else? Crazy, crazy, crazy day here. It's maybe like once a week. Market likes to remind you that you got to be wired a little bit weirdly to do well at this job. And it certainly makes sense that the day I almost like popped my shoulder out trying to hold in a sneeze is the day we have price action like this. Classic. Need to make that into an indicator. But anyway, team, same deal like always, right? If you have any questions, hit me up outside of market hours. I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, looking forward to catching up with a bunch of you here in our one-on-ones later this afternoon. And then obviously having a great trading day and end to the week there tomorrow. It's been a bit of a tumultuous but profitable last few days, right? So we're sitting at, 8 green days here in a row. Some messiness in between, but that's a really good little bounce back here and a great start to June. So let's even keep this up, right? So you can keep this going. P&L is pretty much a straight line here the last little bit. Probably the variance is a little bit too extreme. If I were to be super honest with you, probably shouldn't be having those like 6K swings, right? Or pretty much a 6K swing today. So, some things that still need to be polished off and figured out and kind of refined a little bit. But short term, this is a market that is rewarding me for losing small and maintaining mental capital, and then literally making back a morning's worth of mistakes in 75 seconds. That's pretty much how long I was in today's trade for the big one. And it's one of my biggest singular wins, right, of the entire year. So absolutely crazy, crazy, crazy market. And yeah, basically just trying not to lose my head in the meantime. So yeah, like I said, guys, same deal like always. If you have any questions, hit me up outside of market hours. Appreciated everyone who sent their trades there yesterday. We'll do another one today if you guys send me them. Really, the format that I'm going to be doing, and this is going to be for everyone worth mentioning. So you're going to send me your trades, right? You're going to send me your annotated chart. Okay, here's my entry, here's my exit, here's my take profit, here's how I felt. And then I'm going to go over them, make a video for you, right? Break down what I like, what I don't like, where the differences are, how we can fix those. And we're going to basically make just like a collection of videos for each individual person. So if you do continue to send me your trades, I will continue to spend my evenings drinking, some like kombucha and making Loom videos as well, right? If you have anything that you want added into the how to trade like a DTR member section or whatever I chose to name it there last night, can't remember now. Please, again, right? Please leave a suggestion there and go from there. So Eco Fuel Saver, exactly how you're doing right now. You ask a question there inside the YouTube chat, and I will do my best to answer it as I see it. If you decide to move forward and become a premium DTR member, there's also then a secondary chat that you could access inside Discord, where it would be the same thing. Most of the time, though, I'm just filibustering away. Anything else here, team? All right, everybody. Well, if no further questions, then have yourselves a fantastic rest of the day, and we'll talk soon.